right, today's top story is this. Today's vote of redistricting in Austin may not happen. Dozens of Democrats in the Texas House have left the state to block today's vote on new congressional map redistricting to break quorum, meaning that there aren't enough lawmakers to block or to hold the vote. Now, Governor Abbott says the lawmakers have until this afternoon to come back, or threatening that they may not be coming back at all. Now, Republicans have planned the vote today for new maps that could potentially swing 5 districts to be more heavily Republican controlled in Washington, D.C. That would shift the balance of power in the 2026 midterms, or has the potential to anyway. Last night, Texas Democrats spoke from Chicago, blasting Governor Abbott for what they say is a focus on redistricting instead of flood relief during this special session.
While Texas Democrats have been trying to work across the aisle to deliver disaster relief after the devastating floods in central Texas, Republicans chose to use the tragedy as political cover to cheat. That brings us to today. Texas Democrats were left no choice but to leave their home state, block a vote from taking place, and protect their constituents.
Well, 12 Democrats would need to return in order to meet the rules. There is a possibility of removing the lawmakers from office, not directly by the governor, but either through impeachment or expulsion for violating the chamber rules by not being present.
Well, the last time Democrats broke quorum was in 2021. They walked out to try and block new voting restrictions, but didn't succeed, and they returned after 6 weeks. Because of that, Republican House leaders passed a rule saying that those who break quorum face a $500 a day fine if absent, and that fine cannot be paid using campaign money. However, Democrats claim they have found a legal workaround to accept donors' money. Now, Governor Abbott says the Democrats may have committed felony bribery by raising money to pay the fine for being absent. This is just part of a statement he released late last night to Democrats. He also said he would try to remove them from office if they're not back by 3 o'clock today. Now, right here in this section, he's referring to that Attorney General legal opinion to declare their seats vacant. Again, it's an option that's never been used before to trigger special elections, though a court would have to sign off first. Attorney General Ken Paxton has vowed to hunt down the missing Democrats. Writing on X, he supports the, quote, immediate arrest of these rogue lawmakers who fled their duties. House Speaker Dustin Burrows also stating if a quorum is not present when they meet this afternoon, all options will be on the table. A lot more to come on this developing story, and we'll be sure to follow it for you throughout the day, both on air and on the Free Fox Local app.
That is the big tape here locally. Here's County Sheriff's Office investigating a deadly shooting in an apartment complex about 6:30 Sunday night at the Sierra at Fall Creek Apartments over on Bellow Falls Lane, where they found a man had been shot to death. Several other apartments, though, were also hit by gunfire. Now, last check, no suspects identified, and investigators asking if you have any information there on that shooting to reach out to the sheriff's office. Bond has not yet been set for a murder suspect in Rosenberg. Late Saturday night, police were called to a shooting at a mobile home park on Bloom Road. One man died at the hospital and a 17-year-old was injured. Now, police say witnesses helped them identify and arrest George Perez. Now, one neighbor who didn't want their face shown on TV says that the violence seems to be an ongoing conflict between 2 groups in the area.
And I think something happened, like an altercation, and I told her, I was like, something's gonna go down, let's just go. So we went to the store, and I said, I bet you something's gonna go down, the cops are gonna come. Within 5 minutes that we came back, helicopters, ambulances, the whole thing was blocked. It was just a mess. I don't know who shot who, how it happened, but I mean, they're just nothing but troublemakers.
Perez now facing murder charges and aggravated assault charges as well.
Things got out of hand at a house party in Northeast Houston over the weekend. Deputies showed up to a home on Hopper Road Saturday night and saw someone shooting into a fenced area. Thankfully, no one was hurt. Several people were detained, and investigators collected multiple guns from the scene. It's still not clear who fired the shots or if any charges will be filed.
A Houston daycare owner accused of knowingly leaving 5 children in a hot car. She's expected to be in court today. Dominique Wilson was arrested for several charges of child endangerment on Friday. Now, the children were found, thank goodness, in the parking lot crying inside of the car at a grocery store on Houston's South Side. The court documents show Wilson's the owner of My Little Angels, which operates on the same property as her home. She is now being held for $10,000 bond on each one of those 5 counts.
2 young children from Gaza arriving in Houston last night, brought here to get life-changing medical treatment.
Now, one of them is a 7-year-old who lost both legs in a bombing, a 10-year-old who also had to have a leg amputated in a strike that killed her father and her grandparents. Both children now here in the States to get prosthetics and rehabilitation as part of the largest medical evacuation of the injured Palestinian children since the beginning of the war.
We're bringing currently 15 children out of Gaza. In the past 15 months since the organization started, have brought 60 children here. So our goal is to obtain charity care from hospitals here. Texas Children's Hospital has participated, the Shriners Hospital, and then we have a whole community of volunteers who provide just a family for these children as they come.
Well, their journey was coordinated by Heal Palestine. It's a U.S.-based nonprofit helping children escape Gaza's collapsed healthcare system.
All right, let's get to it because we do have a lot to talk about, including a chance for some storms around here in just a few hours. Right now, everything's beautiful out there. We got the sunshine coming up, or the sunrise coming up. Partly cloudy, 78 right now. No wind, and actually a pretty reasonable dew point value of 71, which I like to see because the lower the dew point value is, probably the better the chances that maybe the storms that are coming our way will weaken just a little bit. Allergy levels today, just wanted to let you know they're all basically steady in the low to medium category. This is what's been happening. So early this morning we had some severe weather that moved through Dallas-Fort Worth, and this stuff is really moving very quickly. It has sparked some severe thunderstorm warnings up there around Corsicana, Texas, and around Mejia, Texas. Actually, it's moving into Waco right now as well. Lots of lightning associated with this one. The primary threat will be gusty winds, but it is making pretty steady progress. It's been moving at about 35 to 40 miles per hour, which would actually put it on our doorstep as early as about 10 or 11 a.m., if not even a little bit earlier than that when we're talking about places like College Station and Huntsville. So something we'll obviously watch for you very closely today. High pressure over El Paso is steering this current here in a little bit of unusual direction for August, which is north to south, and so that's what we will monitor for you really closely today. This flare up there in the Atlantic is Tropical Storm Dexter. It is going to have no impact at all on our area or on the USA. 30% chance that there could be an additional development here off the coastline of South Carolina coming up later on this week. And in fact, the GFS model shows everything kind of just festering out there for a while and then moving inland as maybe like a weak tropical storm coming up later on this week. We'll keep an eye out for that. This X represents a tropical wave that's going to be moving off the west coast of Africa. And as it gets here into the central Atlantic, about a 50% chance of development. I'd say maybe even a little higher than that. Here's our futurecast. This is the latest run of our graph computer model showing some of these storms moving in here by around 1 in the afternoon. I think it might even be a little bit earlier than that, and then shifting to the south by the late part of the afternoon. Overall, about a 60% chance for seeing some storms today. So watch out for that. Maybe a couple of isolated heavy ones, and then turning hot with isolated storms in the afternoon for the rest of the week, 97 to 98.
It's National Chocolate Chip Cookie Day. That means steals and deals. Like if you go over to Three Brothers Bakery, they'll give you a traditional chocolate chip cookie for $2. Brown Bag Deli offering you a cookie with your combo meal if you show the deli's Cookie Day Instagram post. And also,
Insomnia Cookies is offering free chocolate chunk cookies with any purchase today. And finally, DoubleTree by Hilton, giving anyone who stops by a free traditional or allergy-friendly cookie. All right, President Trump's budget bill means no taxes on tips and some overtime pay. So how much will that be put back in servers' pockets?
So we have our consumer reporter, Heather Sullivan, breaking it down for us.
Yeah, workers who earn tips or work extra hours will be able to keep more of what they make. Here's how the new law works and what it could mean for your taxes. There will be a new deduction for tip income when you file your tax return, up to $25,000 for people who earn under $150,000 a year. But it's not completely tax-free.
There is a little catch to it, though. It's income tax-free. You're still supposed to report, the Social Security and Medicare side. So it's not 100% tax-free. That still counts for income for those calculations.
A study by the Nonpartisan Tax Policy Center found for 60% of workers who report tip income, their tax bills would drop by about $1,800 a year. Others report estimates higher at $3,000 to $5,000 a year. But for 40% of workers who earn under $33,000 a year, they won't actually see a boost because they typically owe little to no federal income tax anyway. Now, the White House estimates that the average overtime worker will receive a tax cut between $1,400 and $1,700 a year.
Okay, and Heather, how long is this going to last?
Yeah, so this begins for this tax year and it goes through the tax year of 2028, so 4 years.
Okay, thank you, Heather. Appreciate it.
You bet.
If you have a contract with US Cellular, well, you are now doing business with T-Mobile. T-Mobile just acquired US Cellular, so that means that you are now a T-Mobile customer. This was the last, though, outstanding independent US carrier outside of the big ones, and now it's part of the big ones. So you can still manage your account, though, through the US Cellular website. AI could be deciding how much you pay next time you go to McDonald's.
Yep, McDonald says it's going to ramp up the use of AI by the year 2027. Now, not only does it want to use it to help set prices, but it will also use AI to evaluate how effective some of their products are. Now, McDonald's stopped using AI in drive-thru ordering last year when the tech failed to meet expectations.
President Trump's budget bill could create a nest egg for newborn babies, though it's being called a Trump account, an account with $1,000.
So how much could they really end up with? Consumer reporter Heather Sullivan joins us here in the studio to break all of this down. Heather, good morning.
Good morning. For babies born this year through 2028, the federal government will put $1,000 into a child's account that'll be invested until they turn 18. Parents and relatives can also contribute up to $5,000 a year. If the maximum contribution is made each year on the child's birthday through age 17, the account could grow to between $191,000 and $676,000, depending on how the investment performs. But if the money is left untouched until the child reaches 28, the Treasury Office of Tax Analysis projects it could grow to as much as $1.9 million or $600,000 on the low end.
A general rule of thumb in the financial business is that it's the rule of 72, and it simply says if you're earning about 7%, your money will double every 10 years. Or if you earn 10%, it will double about every 7 years. So if you look at that compound effect and say if somebody is able to give it 10, 20, 30, 40 years for their own retirement and in that type of account, yeah, it doesn't take a whole lot early on to get that to grow to $1 million in the long run.
Well, even if the family doesn't make any contributions, the initial $1,000 could grow to between $3,000 and nearly $14,000 over 18 years. And families can open an account and receive that $1,000 government investment for each child born between January 1st of this year and December 31st of 2028. Now, a Social Security number is required to open the account, and funds cannot be withdrawn until the child reaches the age of 18. Guys?
All right, good to know, Heather. Thank you so much.